Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Moicano versus Korean Zombie. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the main card. So in our first fight on the main card, we have in the women's strawweight division, Ashley Yoder versus Sayuri Kondo. So looking at this fight, you got two fighters kind of in a similar, I guess, with 1 and 2 in the UFC, something like that. I think Yoder, whatever the case, they both 1 and 2 in the UFC, haven't had the most success. And this is a fight pitting them both against each other. I guess it's a loser goes home type of fight. Looking at this fight, like Sayuri Kondo stat-wise has all the better stats. But what I like about Yoder is that she does have grappling, or has utilized her grappling inside the cage. I don't know about outside the cage as far as Sayuri Kondo, but as far as her fights inside the UFC, she kind of avoided grappling. Hadn't initiated any takedowns, and really haven't had to deal with any takedown. Like she defended maybe one takedown. I think it was her whole career inside the UFC in those, 3 fights. Only one takedown was shot on her. She defended it. So 100% takedown defense and 0% accuracy on takedowns. She has shot none. So as Yoder at least has been in fights where she's had to utilize her grappling, had to utilize this, and she did have one decent performance. Her best performance is a loss to Mackenzie Dern in a split decision like loss. But basically, what I'm gonna say with Yoder, she's just at least had shown that she's more well-rounded. But I'm gonna lean to Sayuri Kondo. I think she's better in every area. And I think she has some pretty solid hips as well to keep the fight on feet. I think she's the better striker. She knows more volume. I think she's the physically stronger fighter. I think she's able to keep the fight on the feet for most of the part of the fight and just pick apart Yoder on the feet. I think it'll be one of those close, gritty decisions, but Sayuri Kondo's landing the cleaner technique, the cleaner strikes and the more volume is going to win her the fight. So in this fight, I have Sayuri Kondo via decision. Now on to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Kevin Holland versus Alessio Di Chirico. But looking at this fight, you got two pretty young fighters, I think both in their 20s. I think Holland maybe with like 28, 29 or something. Whatever case, two pretty young fighters in this division. Two talented fighters. Kevin Holland, newer in the division. Di Chirico has been around for a good little minute. But look at this matchup. You got Kevin Holland, who's 6'3", and you got Di Chirico, who is 6 feet tall. Kevin Holland will have a nearly 10-inch reach advantage with his fist or whatever. But yeah. So really looking at this fighting, Chirico is the more composed, well-rounded fighter, better striker with the technique, mixes his game in a little bit better. But Kevin Holland is one of those fighters where you see he has so much talent in that if he just starts to blend it together, or even just do it half well, a lot's going to go well for him. A lot has gone well for him. Like I say, he's 3 inches taller and will have a nearly 10-inch reach advantage over Di Chirico. And he does a lot of volume. His technique's not all that bad. It's pretty clean, but he just needs, put it together better, set it up better. But the technique's pretty decent. Just needs to clean it up a little bit more. But like I said, that's going to be a huge reach advantage he's going to have over Di Chirico, making Di Chirico had to compensate for what they had to get on the inside, which will allow Kevin Holland to land more shots. And it's going to be frustrating for Di Chirico. Kevin Holland is the better grappler. Even though he kind of like awkward with his grappling, I can see him utilizing the fact that Chirico is going to need to get on the inside to set up takedowns and secure control. It's going to be probably one of these fights where Kevin Holland is going to be winning off volume and top control. He's going to make some poor fight IQ decisions, but just based off his volume and his control on the ground, he's going to be able to win this fight. And it's going to be, like I said, close fight, but I'm going to lean to Kevin Holland. So in this fight, I have Kevin Holland via decision. Now on to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, Andrea Lee versus Montana De La Rosa. So a fight between two exciting prospects in this division, or exciting contenders, whatever you want to call them. But Andrea Lee is a beast. Montana De La Rosa is a beast. Looking at this fight, they're both solid fighters. Andrea Lee will have the striking advantage, and Montana De La Rosa will have the grappling advantage. But Andrea Lee grappling advantage, a disadvantage won't be that big of a disadvantage. Andrea Lee's striking advantage will be, like I said, basically Andrea Lee the gap between their striking is bigger than the gap between their grappling. I think Andrea Lee's striking and her movement is going to make it hard for Montana De La Rosa to set up her takedown, which will make it easier for Andrea Lee to intercept these takedowns, defend them, pick her apart from distance. And if she wants to, once she starts to pick her apart, maybe mixing her own takedowns and her own reversals and implement herself, because she's not just no striker. She can grapple just like she can strike, and she has a lot of submissions on her record, so she's not no slouch there. And Montana De La Rosa, she's not no slouch on striking, but I just think the gap in the striking is bigger than the gap in the wrestling. And I think you can understand the wrestling and understand the grappling. You have that striking that well-rounded. You can really dictate whether the fight goes to the ground with your movement, your striking, the jab, the kicks, and just maintain that distance, pick her apart. I think there will be some grappling. I think they will both have some takedowns and success in the grappling. I think ultimately how Andrea Lee controls the fight and dictates the pace with her striking is going to be the tell of this fight. I got it being competitive, but I think Andrea Lee striking is going to be pretty much the tell of this fight. So in this fight, I have Andrea Lee via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the welterweight division, Bryan Barberena versus Randy Brown. So another interesting match right here. You got Randy Brown, who has so much talent, and you could kind of equivalent what he was supposed to be in MMA or in the UFC, was not the number one draft pick, but he was probably in the first round draft pick. He was tall, young, talented, already had a good skill set, already had a good frame and all this stuff. And he was always coming here and, just eventually butt into some talent. So it's not like his career is over. He certainly has a lot of time to do this and do that. We still are waiting for when is he going to turn into this big star? When is he going to turn into this big talent? And it hasn't happened yet. In his last fight, you could say, oh, he got knocked out, but he was put up a pretty good performance, and the fight was shifting to his way, and just as it was shifting in, like the momentum was shifting his way, he got caught in some scramble position, got caught with some fists. No excuse. He got knocked out, lost, but he was at least looking decent up until the loss. But Randy Brown was looking solid, and like at least his last two fights, whether it was like a win and a loss, you saw that he's becoming better at grappling. He's getting more comfortable in those situations, and his strike was already pretty solid, good use of range. Just maybe needs to pick up the pace a little bit with it and throw more strikes. And just, as I said, just clean it up a little bit. Really, that's all. Just clean it up a little bit, fine tune it, find what's your weaknesses, and then fix those holes. Bryan Barberena, and not really the most talented fighter, but he's one of those workhorse fighters. Doesn't have the most power, not physically imposed, not really strong, but he can take a good shot and can keep coming, throw a lot of value, whether it's significant or not. He just stays in your face the whole time. And a lot of times he'll beat these fighters who are like just kind of blow their wad, and he just be in their face the whole time, and they get tired, and he just stays strong, hungry. I mean, he just stays on you. Matter of fact, he picks up the pace, his opponents start to just get tired from punching him in the face or trying to hit him. And he's just in your face the whole time, taking damage and just in your face. But look at this fight. I don't really think that Bryan Barberena's style is all that of a kryptonite to Randy Brown. Yes, the volume will be an issue and the pressure will be an issue, but he doesn't really implement the most takedowns, and then definitely hasn't secured the most takedowns. I think in his career, he's only secured a handful of takedowns and only shot for a handful of takedowns. And with Randy Brown, it'd be more of an issue if he would try to go for the grappling. As a matter of fact, in this fighting, Randy Brown might find more success with the takedowns than Bryan Barberena will in this fight. And with the range, I think Barberena is only about 5'10", 5'11", and Randy Brown's about 6'3". He's a long, rangy fighter. I think he'll be able to tag Barberena out from a distance. And especially with Barberena just really trying to throw these empty strikes just to be in your face, I think Randy Brown will be able to land the cleaner strikes, use his foot movement, use his footwork. I think use his leverage from his height and be able to wrench Bryan Barberena over against the cage and get some takedowns of his own. And I think really, like I said, the height, the reach, the style is going to play more to Randy Brown in all facets of this fight. But it's going to be more so how effective can Bryan Barberena be with his pressure. That's going to be his path to victory. But I think Randy Brown, like his height, his reach, and how he uses that with his leverage and his striking is going to be more to tell of this fight. I think he picks him apart from distance. And on the inside, he's able to get control with Bryan Barberena tries to go for a clinch and takedowns or wall and stall. I think Randy Brown will be able to reverse it around. Maybe secure at least one or two takedowns, get some control there. Maybe not no significant control, but at least enough to the point it's going to affect the judges. I think it's going to be a very competitive, close, gritty, grindy fight, but Randy Brown will get the decision. So in this fight, I have Randy Brown via decision. Now on to our next fight. Now on to our co-main event, we have in the bantamweight division, John Lineker versus Rob Font. So this is a rematch of a fight that was pretty much one side. I think it happened at least 2 or 3 years ago now, in which John Lineker pretty much just ran through Rob Font. I don't remember if he TKO'd him or he just ran through him. It was pretty much a one-sided fight from my memory. But I don't remember if it was a TKO or a decision, but definitely all one-way traffic for John Lineker. But look at this fight. I don't really think much has changed. Rob Font certainly has improved significantly, but John Lineker has improved in his own right. And he's still very dangerous, still hard to deal with. Still got that chin on him. Still got that relentless pressure. And though he might have lost to some new up and comer and Corey Sandhagen. Sandhagen is a beast. He's like 6'1", 6'2" at 135. He has a good jab. He's fast. He's agile. He mixes in the game very well. And he fought almost about as perfect of a matchup or we call stylistic wise or as best he can fight against John Lineker in that fight, and still was put in danger at several times in that fight. Despite having all that height, despite using the jab, despite movement, despite mixing it up, he still had several bad moments in that fight and nearly got finished, I think, in that third round. So he won the fight, but John Lineker showed that he's still John Lineker and not to be played with. So John Lineker is definitely game. And Rob Font showed that he's beast. You see him getting some finishes, see him going on streaks inside of the 135 division. So he was looking good, but I think stylistically, John Lineker is still going to be too big. I mean, not too big, but too physical, too strong, coming in there with his volume, landing his big shots. Rob Font's going to try to maintain that distance, but John Lineker is not going to be respecting it. Be coming in on the inside, landing those body shots, coming up top. I think Rob Font puts on a better performance this time, but despite like him putting more of that output is going to leave him open to get hit more. Like he's going to be out there trying to give it his all and try to push John Lineker back. But that's going to allow John Lineker to land even bigger shots, be competitive, be a crazy fight. Matter of fact, this might be the fight of the night. This might be my pick for fight of the night on this card. But John Lineker is just going to be, like I said, too physical, too much on the inside, landing hard shots. If Rob Font's going to fight back, that's just going to make John Lineker even hungrier and make him even throw even harder. It's going to be a fire fight, but I got John Lineker stop him in the second round. So in this fight, I have John Lineker via second round TKO. Now on to our main event, we have in the featherweight division, Renato Moicano versus Chan Sung Jung, or a.k.a. the Korean Zombie. So you got one of the old guard, even though he's not that much older than Moicano. I think he's about 2 years older than Moicano. Was like 31 versus 33, something like that. Moicano will be the bigger fighter, much larger fighter. I think he's about 6'1", probably about 6'1". Chan Sung Jung about 5'7". So he have a pretty significant height advantage over Chan Sung Jung. I think in this fight, even before I like started breaking down and looking into it, I was like just saying it, like how it would play out or how it could play out. And then even looking at the stats, it's more so proved what I was saying from my memory and from what I've seen about both fighters. Like even look at the stats and stuff. Renato Moicano basically has all the advantage in this fight, like the height, the reach, the physical. I think he's the better grappler. Striking wise, I think it's about even. They got that different type of striking, but about even. But more so, all advantages lies in Moicano's on Moicano. He has most of the advantages. And I kind of see it coming down to, can Moicano maintain his composure, or can Chan Sung Jung break his composure over this 5-round fight? And that's like the 5-round fights. I mean, the five rounds favor Chan Sung Jung because his approach is that he's going to need to break Moicano. Because Moicano's going to really have all the advantages. He's probably going to have the power, he's going to have the size, the physical strength, the better grappler, striking about even. It really is going to come down to Chan Sung Jung's veteran experience or him breaking, like veteran experience plus trying to break Moicano, trying to find a weakness, trying to find a holes, trying to break him down. But I think it might play similar to his fight against Calvin Kattar, where he saw good lateral movement, mixing leg kicks, using the clinch well. He was striking and making himself a hard target and having Calvin Kattar try to get on the inside, or in this case, have Korean Zombie try to get on the inside. But yeah, it's going to be a tough fight. But I think it's going to kind of come down to Moicano's range. I think Chan Sung Jung will be trying to get on the inside. He will do a good job of pressure. And his last fight, he put on a good performance, was in Yair's face very well most of the fight, and really won like 4 out of 5 of those rounds. And they got caught in that last second, literally, in that fight. So, but Moicano's not Yair. Yair certainly has more flash, but I think Moicano's technique is a lot more solid, so it's not going to be as easy to just pressure with boxing against Moicano. As you kind of saw, Calvin Kattar kind of failed with that, and especially given his height, his mobility, his mixture of strikes, and it's hard to deal with. So he's already long, then he's technical, and he's big and strong, so it's hard to deal with. So it's kind of like, hard to beat him technically. You got to kind of break him. Kind of like Ortega did. Ortega was losing every round. He just constantly was in his face and made him kind of broke and made him shoot a takedown he didn't even need to shoot, and he got caught in that guillotine. Or an Aldo fight, Aldo timed him, caught him, and then smothered. When he saw him weak, he just jumped on the opportunity to get him out. So like, you gotta break Moicano. And I'm gonna lean more to Moicano's advantages more so than the fact that Chan Sung Jung's veteran experience and ability to break him over 5 rounds. I think Moicano, like I said, he's gonna maintain that distance. He's gonna come in this fight hungry, especially seeing all the shifting and going on in this division and realizing he's so close and he's one of these new guards, he's one of these fresher faces. Just maintaining that distance, using those angles, mixing it up, make himself a hard target, and not allowing Chan Sung Jung to ever just push him straight back. Allow himself to move on angles and not move on a straight line. In a very competitive fight, I think Chan Sung is going to go pretty much everywhere in this fight. It's going to go to the ground, it's going to be on the feet. But more so, I think the tell of this fight is going to be what goes on from the distance, who can impose their will, or if Moicano can prevent Chan Sung Jung from proposing the will by, constantly moving, constantly mixing up, making himself a hard target for Chan Sung Jung and keep him at the end of his range. But competitive fight, I think it happens, but I think it's going to be Moicano pulling out a well-fought decision. So in this fight, I have Renato Moicano via decision. And that concludes my predictions for the main card of UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Moicano versus Korean Zombie. Thanks for watching, and that's all, folks.